Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, and it's away we go. And somebody's got an absolute flyer there. I think we're going to see a real interesting mix of riders out on the course now. This race really has been one where we've seen a group of riders put a pack together and go down the road from the start.
At 28.7k at the front of this race now, it's not far off before they hit the bottom of that climb, and they're about to come into our final 5k segment, which finishes 1.2k to the finish. So this is a massive pack going in from the front, as well as a massive pack still for our Category 3 riders.
Well, here we go. We said it was going to be about team work as well. Can they bring this home? Qualifier goes at 6.4 watts per kilo. The nearest rider to her is Van Heuling, and I think she's just letting that gap go a little bit. Bjarhed has to respond to this, and Qualifier is now caught and pulled back down again. Who has got the pace to go over the top? It's Jojo Bauer who puts in the initial move, but look at the response from Qualifier. She's not going to let Bauer go that easily. And now we are starting to see riders in trouble behind. Van Heuling is coming charging from behind here. She carries it into the mud. She carries that pace. Bjarhed sitting there with the blue cap on, the Swedish rider. Going to take this. Are we going to see a whitewash of places by the obstacles team? Are they going to put a roadblock and stop anybody getting past the Kiki's on and Qualifier? That's timing. So hello and welcome to MyWhoosh, to the Sunday Race Club, and from me, Matt Payne, and Emma, who has joined me, Emma Martin joining me in the studio. It is great to be here. We have got lots of great action for you. We just had an amazing men's race, and I am really looking forward to seeing what happens in the women's race. Emma, we had a cracking race earlier on, and I think if the course follows that, we're going to see an aggressive race.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. And you are right. We had a cracking men's race, and I'm really looking forward to the women's race today. The course that the women will be riding today, 35.9k in distance, with a total elevation of 574 metres. But that's over 2 laps, and the course you've got in front of you is the lap. So 2 lots of this coming up today. So each lap there are 2 Category 4 climbs for our riders today, along with some other unclassified climbs as well. So this is a hilly course, no real long climb today, but some very short punchy climbs. We'll see 4 Category 4 climbs over the entirety of our course today, but 8 climbs in total, with the steepest climb averaging 12.3% today.
And that is a serious climb, isn't it? That's going to have a lot of damage done to riders on the way through, I suspect. And I suspect it is going to be the case that the riders are going to feel this. Remember, twice round this lap, it's tough stuff, but a flat, fast finish going to really shake up what those riders are, who they are in the finishing run in. Let's see who's going to take this last Colombianas. Absolutely one of our big teams here today. Winners in qualifier number 4. And, of course, top 3 in our final that was only last week. So will it be our team, the Glass Colombianas? So will the strong girls take this away? Remember, the strong girls squad regularly up and battling in those top 3 teams. And they've got some really strong riders in there. Faye Faber, Brummel, Schroeder and Dega Mashandi, always ones to watch out for. But we do have, of course, the Spartan Obstacles, the team to beat, the winners of the team prize in the last final with Brogan, Van Heuling, Qualifier and Fua, the riders who really did whitewash the podium, as you've seen in the roundup just earlier on. Now, Looper just with a slightly diminished squad, this time around just with Marcel Smithers in there. But I think all of these riders know they're going to be up against it, particularly when in our individuals, you've got riders like Marlene Bjarhed and Ursula Bardowskaya riders who can be really mixing it up at the front of the race. Let's see if they're going to do the same again, or whether or not it will be our big teams on the front. Our women's teams, we have strong women in category 2 as well, and that is typified by the names Sanchez, Hernandez, Parra, and Santiago. All very, very strong. Jenny Sanchez, a 4th place last time around, and 2nd in the team competition. Definitely ones to watch out for, but there's some strong competition in the team competition, and great to see that we've got the SZ Hyenas. So this is our Swedish teams with Freeberg, Kylan, and Jonsson in there. Will they be the team? New team. Let's see if they are going to be able to take rich pickings out there. The Tri-Women squad, well, what can we say about them? They are the team to beat. A win in qualifier, for win in the finals. They've been absolutely unbeatable. There's no other word for it. And I think, Emma, the team that I would be watching out for. But I think Team RT Cycle's own ladies, Kekkonen, Tan, and Hadlock, maybe this course will suit them with that flatter section. And of course, don't forget that we have lots of riders capable of mixing it up with our first cat riders as well. Team Fitness 10, normally a little bit more strength in depth from them, because only limited numbers with Carmona and Gaviria, but don't discount them from being up there right in the mix, battling for position in our second category rider competition. And of course, the Abu Dhabi squad with Madison Black. Madison putting some great rides in her early rise on the platform, and has been battling in contention for, again, podium positions in those second category races. Our individuals, well, quite a mix. Golden Light, particularly one to watch out for on the way through. Lilian Cordera as well. Gina Garcia always has to be watched out for on the way through, but a big packed field with Sejeros in the individual competition as well this time round. And after our category 2, we will be, of course, welcoming our category 3 riders. And don't forget, of course, we have the team from the Cycle Hub, Cycle Hub 2nd in the team competition in our finals, and definitely riders who we know are going to be mixing it up in the 3rd category. You don't win team competitions to get top 3 in the team competition without having strong individual riders. The Climber girls, always present. Great to have them back once again, and we're going to see if they can take on the Wingo, put maybe Geraldo or Barco down the road. In the team mix, we also, of course, have Thundercats, another of our new teams with Figueroa, Medina, and Lorenzo. Great to see these teams increasing in number as we come in and through, and the race fields grow in size. And, of course, Slam Bike Shop Team 2, regulars on the scene, and great to have them back with Nicola Lestri and Cabanata in there as well. And, again, riders who can figure strongly in there, and a big host of riders in the individual competition. So Al Mansouri, another of our regulars who's right up there in the mix. Really the pick of our screen at the moment. Giuliano and De Guzman, again, regulars up at the top of the standings, regularly fighting it out for position. And that is more important this week, and we'll come on to that in a second. We've got Erin Poulton in here and Kokin as well, but don't discount Sarasuk in there, also Bala, and all these riders, of course, in the individual competition, counting in that individual points standing. We're going to see who is going to be right up at the top. And don't forget, of course, Shamieva and Grace Paolo and Gunari in that individual mix in our category 3 riders. So that's our teams and our riders done and dusted. And we are going to see our riders heading out on course very soon. We hit the start area with just over 20 seconds to go. Our riders are getting ready to head out from that start line, and we're going to watch them get away. This start, critically important.
It is. So making sure you don't push on too early so you don't burn all your matches, but you need to time your start. So 3, 2, 1, power down.
Here we go, and off they go. This is about having that kick from the start line, and they are motoring away very, very fast indeed. And it's certainly looking to me like we are going to get a decent-sized bunch out from that line. They've gone off pretty much as one massive block of riders, and this start relatively flat all the way to 4.7k. And it is Nicola Lestri who got the quick start off there, but Faber quickly up to the front of the bunch. Jojo Bauer chasing behind. This is key, making sure they get this dialed, making sure they jump straight on to the wheels here. They need to make sure they get this dialed. If they get this wrong, they will be in trouble. That is for sure. So here we go. The first few hundred meters critical. We're going to see these blocks starting to pull. You can see a massing of yellow and green up on the front. Sheer power taking our riders away.
Yeah, so we had 88 riders on the start sheets today, and 68 look as though they've started and taken to the line and crossed the start line. And you're right, Matt, we're starting to see the yellow Category 1 jerseys mixed with the green Category 2 jerseys. And of course, our Category 3 riders are in the blue jerseys today.
We are seeing them all in there, but it is predominantly a 1 and 2, Cat 1 and Cat 2 at the front of the group. Top right-hand side of your screen, the map profile, the gradient currently 0%. Top left-hand side of your screen, the rider stats. We're watching Anna Embring at the moment, nearly 200 watts, just over 200 watts now, 58 revs per minute, 159 beats per minute, all showing on that top left-hand corner. Down the right-hand side, the riders who are around Anna, who's sitting at the moment, rolling around that top 10, just on the edge of it. And this group already starting to pull a gap out. And I think we're going to have about 15 to 20 riders at the moment who are clear at the front of this race field. And that is telling already, because it means that they're starting to pull the gap. And anybody who's been caught out is in the rearward bunch, they're going to have some problems catching on. Big ass to get back, Emma.
Yeah, and there's 4.7k of this race course before we hit the first Category 4 climb on this course today. And I would expect this bunch to be able to stay together until we get to the bottom of that climb, Matt.
Well, that is going to be interesting if we think it's going to stay together. Will we get anybody breaking across, coming across? We can see the right-hand side of our screen at the moment, a real mix of jerseys. So Category 3, Category 2 and Category 1 riders in there. And Schroeder and Sanchez in this group as well. But we've got Poulton in here. Got to watch out for Giuliano, Guarani as well. All these riders at the moment, they're looking to shelter, looking to take draft. And we saw in the men's race, we're not giving you any spoilers. We want you to jump on, click onto the YouTube link and watch it back. But drafting is key.
It is. And how you ride this course is key as well, because this is a very different course to last week, where last week there was a big bunch until we got to about 30k, Matt, and then we saw the race light up in the women's race in the last 10-15k. Today I think we're going to see very much a different style of racing. This is a puncher's course. This is a course for people who like short, hard efforts, recoveries, and going again and again and again.
And I think for me that is really key, isn't it, that we have the riders able to push, able to squeeze, but recover. And for me, as a rider, this would be a course I'd absolutely love, because it's kick, stop, but with plenty of rest, because I'm a bit of a lazy soul every now and then on the bike, and I do like to hide behind. Not that I'd ever say such a thing, but you can be aggressive when you need to. I think it's going to be interesting to see who it suits, but quite a lot of flat in this. If you stitch together on our course map the flat finish and the flat start, actually, we've got a real compression, and really most of those hills coming in what is going to be about 10k of the course of each lap. And when you think that each lap as you go round is 18k, you've got about 10k of hills, 8k of flat. It is a real mix.
It is, but let's remember, for every climb there is a descent. And as we have seen in the past before, some riders will use the descents as recoveries, and they will drop their heart rate ready to go again on the next climb. Others who prefer riding at a more consistent pace may take a steadier climb but push on more on the descent, and actually try to ride a steadier race. And will be really interesting to look at what tactics people are using and what benefit those tactics have.
Definitely, and I think that is tactically going to be interesting how these teams play this as well, because we have had a change in how we look at those results slightly. So we still have our live results as the riders are riding. We have the unofficial results before they're verified and the verified results. But in the competition, we have had a bit of a structure change, and you can see that the riders at the moment, there's a real mix of teams and riders up at the front, and I think everybody's maybe a little bit more motivated this season as we run through. So it's currently 3.4 kilometres, as we tease you with a little bit of news that we're going to bring you, but we're not going to tell you just yet. So 3.4k in. We've currently got about 1.3k until we hit the base of the first of our big climbs, although there is a real mix of climbing in this sort of 10k section. So the 4 climbs, as I said, 2 are categorized, and that is where we are going to see, I think, a little bit of action. I'm hoping we're going to start to see some aggressive racing at that point. Always love it when the action comes thick and fast. But at the moment, the bunch is all together. So, Emma, these riders who are racing at the moment, we've got Category 1, Category 2, and Category 3. Those splits, it's based on a rider's performance, isn't it, between Category 1, 2, and 3? And they're dynamic as well. So what does that mean?
So they are dynamic, Matt. So as you get better, you can progress through the categories. If you have a period away from racing and you're coming back to racing, you might then be recategorized in a lower category than the one you were racing in previously. So riders can move between categories because they're getting better or because they've had a period off the bike. But the 3 different categories give a really big range of riders, and it's great to see that the numbers racing across those categories are so strong. So 21 riders on the start sheet today for Category 1, 31 riders on the start sheet today in Category 3. So a really big spread of riders.
Yeah, definitely, and those rider numbers coming up definitely makes a difference as these riders come in to the hill at the moment. They're not far away, actually, from rolling in onto that climb. You can see at the moment our leaders just hitting those slopes, 10.7% as they come through. We're at 4.6k, so they are starting to hit those steep slopes. The chasers behind are working hard, but look at this. It is Chiara Donny and Elizabeth Van Heuling who are already in the mix. Normally we see Van Heuling coming late. She isn't today.
Wow, and Donny is really pushing out those watts at 7 watts per kilo on that climb. So the plan seems to be from the front of this group, Matt, to make it hard from the go.
Well, that is brutal. That is really, really brutal because I think as these riders continue to push, that is really going to break the group behind. And I think there's definitely added impetus. Look at Brogan here. Brogan is having to do some serious power. She's at 80 revs per minute, 170 beats per minute. So she's working hard. She's trying to close this gap down on our leaders at the moment. So 13% slope. The riders at the front, it is Donny who's leading them up. And look at the gap that's open. We can take a twin screen shot here. Leader on your left-hand side, right-hand side. You can see the view from the back. And this group has exploded apart. And those riders who haven't got that flat-out power are starting to be distanced. And this is dangerous, remember, here today. That gap is blown to pieces.
Yeah, and we're watching Faye Faber on the right-hand side of the group, someone who finished in the top 20 in the UK National Time Trial Championships this year. So it's not even as though it's just, I'm almost speechless, Matt, that within such a short distance, this leading group of 21 riders has blown to smithereens.
It is quite incredible that it is smashed apart. And Jojo Bauer, a very strong rider here, somebody who we know can take race victory. I think maybe just decided to use this to training plan, maybe a training session, a recovery session, maybe just not feeling on it. And listening to your body is important, isn't it, Emma?
It is, but let's be honest here, Matt. We are only 5k into a 35.9k race, and we talked really briefly earlier on about different styles of riding, and whether riders are going to hit high power and then recover, hit high power and then recover, or whether tactically they're going to decide to try and stay at a more constant pace. And who knows, maybe Bauer is taking that second approach for the early stages of this race.
Well, it's a dangerous move because as we go up to the top, we can see the gap between Chiara Done, who goes over the top of the climb in first place, and Anna Embring, who is behind and has been distanced. Embring, of course, racing on the squads and looking very, very strong at the moment. So certainly it looks to me like Embring, who's riding for that new squad, is starting to be able to push over the top, open the gap. Golden Light is behind, and Golden Light could well be our top category 2 rider if she can hold those wheels, because she needs to try and stay with that group in front as long as possible. Kekkonen is currently 11 seconds behind. It's 13 to Gerioni. She's got Olsen about 12 seconds. Kimona, so a big group of second category riders chasing Golden Light at the moment. Golden Light are leading rider in category 2, but the front of category 1, Donny, Van Heuling, Mendoza. It looks like we've got Bjarhead in there. Brogan is in there. Cavado currently at 2 seconds. I think that is likely to come back down again. But Chiara Donny is doing an amazing ride here. And you never know what we'll be able to dig up. I think there's going to be some serious research going on to this young lady after we are seeing this performance at the moment. And I can see the rest of the squads doing the same thing, never mind us in the commentary.
Yeah, and as you can see, they've gone over the top of the hill now and are now on the descent at 8% downhill.
And the speed is picking up, isn't it, Emma?
The speed is picking up indeed. They're up to 62, 63, 72, 76 kph. So the speed is really, really picking up. And they've pretty much got around 2.5, 3k now before they hit the bottom of the next climb.
Well, that is going to be interesting to see, because we've got rollers in between. You can just see at the moment we're just leveling out from the descent left-hand side of your screen. You can see it looks slightly uphill, but that is the perspective from the camera being just above the riders. If you imagine a motorbike behind our rider with the cameraman stood on the back with the camera shot down, that's why you get that perspective, that angle. But we are seeing a very aggressive front of the race here, and at the moment these riders being led by Chiara Donny coming through, the Italian leading this out, but Van Heuling quickly over the top. They're on the left hand side of your screen, right hand side of your screen, your leader of the second category race. But look at this, we have a really class group here. Donny, Cavado, Bjarhead, Fua, Mendoza, Brogan in here. Bardaskai has got distance to 33 seconds. Embring about the same as well, but they're with Golden Light now, and I think that could become a group of 3 that could move very quickly indeed. You can just see Embring, Bardavskaya, and Golden Light. It's Bardavskaya who's just in front, but they can go close this gap down. I wouldn't go against Bardavskaya in terms of getting back into the group, but the gap is opening. It's 400 meters between the leaders on the left of your screen and the chasers on the right hand side of your screen. And this leading group mean business today. We are at 7.6k here on Sunday Race Club, and at the moment you can see everybody wants to be up there. Everybody wants to be at the front of the race, and we are coming in to our next steep section. So we're at 7.7k. We are about to hit the 8k marker, and when we do, we're going to hit the big slopes of this climb. It's already, as we're coming into 8k at 8%. Here goes the gradient, and here comes Donny again. She quickly pushes up, eases back off, interestingly, and maybe a gear change in there, but you can just see it is Van Heuling and Donny who are opening the gaps. They're trying to put the pressure on Marlene Bjarhead with that blue cap with the yellow stripe down the middle there on the left-hand side of Bjarhead. Again, another yellow winners like Van Heuling. They're going to be wondering what they're going to need to put out to distance Donny. Donny, the newcomer here of those 3 in the race lead. So, left-hand side of your screen, the race leaders on that climb. They are making the way up the second climb. Remember, this is not a categorized climb. It's just part of that hilly 10k section in the race route. Right-hand side, the moment it is Abel Clarissa Garcia who we are following. But this is, I think, the leading group of third category riders. And that certainly looks to me like they are working very, very hard and working well to close down the gap to Catherine, who's our leading third category rider at the moment.
Yeah, and we are going back in with the front group at 8.1k travelled as The gradient moves up again, and we're moving up over 9% at the moment. And as you mentioned, Matt, this isn't a categorized climb, but it's a steep one. The average gradient on this climb is 6.3%.
Wow. So it is still tough. And you can see that. You look at the speed, 18 kph. Look at the power having to go out. Even as we come over the top, we're talking about just under 300 watts being put out here as our riders go over the top. We are 15 minutes of racing in. We've got 8k underneath the wheels of our leading riders. That's of a total 35.9k course. We are doing 2 laps of a very tough circuit, which basically has just under 5k, 4.5k of flat, followed by a hilly 10k, and then another, basically another 5k or so of flat stuff to finish off. That's 34k on the end of it, and then we go around again. It does mean we've got a relatively flat finish, but I think the climbers know that they can quickly distance riders. Just looking at the screen, right-hand side of that screen, Golden Light at the moment has got a gap on Embring, but look what's coming behind her. There is a massive pack of riders behind Golden Light, and they include Jarioni, Olsen, and co. Our second category chasers are pushing on the right-hand side. On the front of the race, interestingly, Cavado, who I thought would be back in touch with our leaders, has been distanced at the moment. So Karuk Cavado distanced from our leaders. The leaders at the moment at 9.2k, and they're about to hit our next tough segment here today, because this is now the biggest climb and the steepest, nastiest climb of the day for our race leaders. Left-hand side of your screen, Jessica Mendoza just started onto that climb. She carried some pace in there. Now she starts to push, but she doesn't want to leave behind everybody. But this group has broken up here, and I think Cavado and Fua distance now out of this. So Van Heuling, Mendoza, Doddy, Bjarhead in the leading group of 4, with I think maybe 5 riders in contention. Cavado at 23 seconds, along with Fua. 45 seconds down, you've got Embring, but she's with the leading second category riders.
Well, let's not forget Van Heuling from the USA was 5th in the Esports World Championships earlier on this year. So some serious form and some serious class in that rider. So not surprisingly leading out this race today. But the gradient at the moment is 13.5% for Hewlin at the front end of this race, and it's so steep and it's so hard. But I think that group are not going to be split like she might want them to be.
Well, I don't think they are, and I think the pace and the pressure from Van Heuling. Interesting, she's gone on this 13.3% at the moment. It's a brutally tough section, of course. It's really hard. It's really high. It is a long climb, relatively, on this course. There's still plenty of bumps on the way back out. I would have wanted to take a group through. I don't think I would have wanted to try and go solo at this stage. I think I personally would have been waiting to come round next time round, and I would have wanted to go on potentially this climb, maybe the one before, because that then means that you've got a chance of running into the finish.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Matt, but I think, if your legs are feeling good, then, there's the opportunity to have a hard ride today. And you never know. This group now of around 7 riders are over a minute clear of 8th place.
That is a substantial distance, isn't it? And that is why we are seeing so much work being done. I don't think they want to let anybody come back together again, that's for sure. I think from what I can see, this is about really stretching legs, and Donny and Van Heuling are so well matched here. They've got the gap on Brogan, Bjarhead and Mendoza, then a further gap back to Cavado and Fua. It looks to me like there's going to be some seriously hard work being done behind. Interesting to see Dorothy Gonzalez chasing right-hand side of the screen. Kekkonen has got company down here. This is the leading second category riders on the right of your screen. We've got Jenny Sanchez in here. Now, Jenny Sanchez is repeatedly, time and time again, right in the top riders, and the Team Shiraiso, the strong women's team, regularly in the mix. But our tri-women with Cinelli, Jarioni and Olivieri really have been the riders to beat. They're the team that took top spot and regularly take top spot in that team competition.
Yeah, but it's deceptive, isn't it? And all this climbing is deceptive in terms of distances because on the road, they don't look as though they're that far back, only around 400 meters. Yet, from time perspective, it's a minute and a half. And that's where this climbing is so deceptive because they're only traveling at 9 kph at the moment.
Only on a climb that is incredibly brutal. I have to say, I'm really glad it's not me who's having to do this climb on the way through. So personally, I think I would be trying to take my time on this climb at the moment. So the riders at the moment really are continuing to push here today. And I think we can just see Brogan working hard behind, trying to get that gap back down again.
Yeah, and on the right-hand side of the screen at the moment, we're in with the leading group of our Category 2 races. We're watching Jenny Sanchez at the moment, and those riders are in 9th, 10th and 11th in the race overall at the moment. So some phenomenal performances being put in by our Category 2 riders today. But looking at that, that's a highly competitive category as well because I'm trying to just make out whether it's the 5. I think that's actually the 5 leading riders from the Category 2 race in that group.
It is indeed, and our two leaders in the Category 1 competition, Donny and Van Heuling, they're clear at the front. So Donny and Van Heuling leading out. Jessica Mendoza, 4 seconds back. Brogan at 7 seconds. Bjarhead at 21 seconds. And if these two had set out to break that group up, they've done it. They've achieved it because look at the damage that has been done. And Donny and Van Heuling now have a lot of sliding room. Jessica Mendoza is likely to be the nearest rider to them out on the course, and she's got to close that gap down. She really has to work hard to close it down. And I think realistically, if she can get Brogan together with her, maybe with Bjarhead, that 5 could come back together. So Donny, Van Heuling, Mendoza, Brogan, and Bjarhead. Behind them, Cavado, I think the nearest rider with Fua, but I think they're now too far gone, and I just can't see them coming back together. So 22 minutes of racing done, 11.4k under the wheels of our leaders. Behind, we can see the groups are split. Donny Van Heuling leading with Mendoza at 2 seconds, Brogan and Bjarhead inside of half a minute. Then it's Fua, Cavado, and Co. And they are very close, in fact, to being chased down by the group on the right-hand side of your screen, because this contains our leaders in the Category 2 race. Golden Light, Kekkonen, Olsen and Co. all continuing to push on. They do have Anna Embring in there, who is one of our first category riders, who's going to be assisting, or maybe not assisting, if she hasn't got the strength, because these Category 2 riders are riding very strongly. So we are making our way in and through. You can see the course in front of you. Emma, it's been brutal. It's been tough. We are currently coming out of the other side of those mountains, over those hills, and we run into a flat run to the end of lap number 1 before we head out on lap 2. What would you be doing at this stage in the race?
Yeah, so currently our riders are over that second Category 4 climb, and they are on the descent into the rolling terrain, and the rolling terrain, and then into the flatlands. So now is the time for some recovery, and I think it's going to be interesting to see the tactics here. I'm going to be looking out for the front pack taking some recovery. I'm going to be looking out for the second group on the road to make the catch, because if they're going to make the catch to that front group, that rolling and flat terrain is the place to do it. Whilst if the front group are taking some recovery and bringing their heart rate down, ready to attack again through that next section of climbs on lap 2.
Well, I think that is definitely going to be telling. We're just watching Kiara Donny on this descent down. I mean, 2.7k doesn't sound like a big downhill, but they're moving 43 kilometers an hour over 25 miles an hour. The right-hand side of your screen, you can see the riders on that draggy climb up there at 11.5k as they go up there at 32k. And we've said these riders have got some serious motivation today. They certainly have, because we're really pleased to announce that we have introduced an additional prize pool for all of our qualifier races. So in each of our categories, in the men's and women's, the top 5 in each category, when those results have been verified, will then be eligible for some amazing prizes. A 10,000 AED first prize. That's well over 2,000 sterling, and it's a substantial amount whichever way you look at it, isn't it, Emma? And whatever currency, I think you were looking at dollars. I don't know whether you're planning on emigrating or whether it's just because potentially Van Heulen might be in with the
I
run-in.
was going to say we've got riders from all around the world. So whilst you've done sterling, in US dollars, it equates to 2,720 on today's exchange rate as well. So wherever you are in the world, whatever currency you're working in, the prize pot that's been introduced is one I think that is going to excite the racing for the qualification races.
Definitely, and I think it's really is reflective of the ambition and of the will to put some really great competition to support our riders into being able to race it as well. Top 5 in each of our race categories, and it's all that extra motivation. Remember, those dynamic categories that do move up and down. It's designed to split our riders in to give great racing, irrespective of what you are able of producing. Whether you are like Jessica Mendoza, Chiara Donna, and Elizabeth Van Heulen at the front of the race overall, or whether you're racing category 2 or 3, we know they're competitive. We want to add a little bit of added incentive as well, and that means those prizes all the way through. Equal, of course, between the men's and women's race. No difference in the prize funds between them, and great to see that these riders up and battling now in our category 2 competition for this prize money. Look at this big mix here. We've got more riders in here in category 2 than there is prize money. It's only top 5 get prize money, but all of them also want that verified result, because when you go into the finals, if you make the finals with your 2 verified rides, then don't forget, of course, we are going to be looking at those team prizes as well. And we're not far away from the point where people are going to need to qualify, particularly in the men's race, and very quickly, I'm sure, soon in the women's race, because of the volume of riders. So it's going to be a selection of the best results. So people are going to need to race pretty hard just to get in there. We're not at that stage yet, but at the moment, you still need those 2 qualifying rides. Now, one rider who we thought would be right in the mix, Marlon Bjarhed, not to be her day today, giving away 49 seconds to our race leaders at the moment. So still inside a minute, but he's going to have a work cut out to get right up there. And just looking at this, I think our 3 have become 4. In fact, I can just see the helmet there of Gemma Brogan making her way up. So 3 riders have become 4 as they come around. They're at 14.3K, and that means that these riders really do know that they've got a little bit of a chance for a rest. They could take it in turns if they're smart and keep that gap opened up, because I personally wouldn't want to have people like Bjarhed, Fura, Cavedo coming back up to the group.
Yeah, well, you say 3 have become 4. I'm looking at the power people are putting out at the moment, and whilst this front group of 4 are now really bringing their heart rates down, Bjarhed is still riding at 4 watts per kilo. I think she's trying to close that gap and make that 4 become a pack of 5 before we go into the next set of climbs.
I think she is, but I think that is a very big ask. We'll see what that gap is. Remember, the distance between the riders will vary depending on whether they're on an uphill or a downhill. But, of course, the time gap should stay the same. But who is going to take this away? Great to see that we've got established riders like Brogan and Van Heulen. Jessica Mendoza, a rider who is seen increasingly up at the front, and complete newcomer in the shape of Chiara in here, so Chiara Donna in here. So great to see that she is right up and in that mix, and certainly looks like she's meant to be there. She's doing a great job at the moment, Emma.
Yeah, she is indeed, and it's really interesting to watch this group. Whilst we still think they're putting out some good and strong power, Donny's heart rate going up the climb was 186. It's now 167. There's been some serious recovery going on in these groups, even though they're still ticking along at a really good pace.
They are indeed, and just checking these riders out at the moment is looking very fast indeed. Emma.
Yeah, and it's looking like our Category 2 riders are following pretty much the same race strategy as our Category 1 riders, because that front group of 6 in our Category 2 race are recovering as well. These riders are really taking the opportunity on this course now that we're coming up to 15K covered, just more for our Category 1 race, just under for our Category 2 race. This is the point in the course where the course is flat. They're coming to the end of lap 1, and they're making the most of this to get ready for lap 2.
Well, definitely the case, and just a little bit of info on Chiara Donny. She is a regular. She's a regular Colnago rider, so she'll feel right at home here on MyWhoosh, because of course Colnago, one of our key partners, not just on MyWhoosh, but also of course on the UAE teams. And we were lucky enough when we're at Eurobike to be giving away some amazing Colnago bikes to people who are out and riding on the platform there. If you haven't seen what we got up to, jump onto the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Click on to the videos on there, and there is highlights the best of Eurobike this year. Some amazing action, some bikes being given away, some very, very happy riders being united with the Colnago, and done a regular Colnago rider, riding for Castelli, of course, Team Italy Castelli as well. And great to see that she's bringing those skills, that regular riding on the hills around Italy, into the race action here and mixing it up with the best. So Jessica Mendoza in here, Chiara Donny, we've got Elizabeth Van Heuling and Gemma Brogan. Now, my money on if it goes into a final sprint, if they're all together at this stage next time round coming into the flatlands, is going to be on Brogan. There we go. I'm going to nail my colours. I'm not going to jump off this fence early. However, there's a lot of hills, and Donny and Van Heuling, I think, have been the strongest on those hills. So plenty of time to sort that out. I'm not going to dare put any guesses out there for the Category 2 races on the right of your screen. They are all battling really well. They're moving quickly. The gap, although the time gap is fairly substantial, look at this group. Sharioni, Kokkonen, you've got Sanchez in there. You know, we are talking about Olsen in this mix, Carmona in the mix. These riders are not going to give up easily. There are 5 prizes to be split between these riders. And who is going to take that? We are coming up. It's 15.8k currently under the wheels. However, remember, this is a 35.9k route. 35.9k. It's a long way still to go, Emma.
There is, and there's still 5 or 6k of flatlands for that Category 2 group. As you can see before you, they are in that final segment of flatlands before the end of lap 1 at 17.9k, and then they move into the flat and rolling lands of the start, the first 4.7k of the lap. Now, that's a long segment, and I think these riders are happy with the group that they're in. There's 6 of them, and I think they're going to use that time to recover well, and then I think we're going to see the front of that Category 2 race, those 6 riders, really start attacking when we come into that climbing segment next time round.
Well, I'm not sure whether Golden Light would agree with your idea of recovering well at 3.8, and I'm just seeing some 5s going out there, maybe just rolling around in those groups. Personally, my idea of recovering well is not going at that kind of pace along the, whether it's flat or not, I have to say. But interesting, the differences between these. I think if I was in that group with you there, Emma, I think we're just riding in with Ortiz at the moment. It is about being in the group. It's about saving energy and saving pace. The front group, though, they're not taking this easy at all. And whilst they're rolling along at a pace, I think there's a little bit of needle going on. There's a little bit of pressure being put on because we are seeing riders not able to come through and take a turn at the front, just being distanced a little bit. Just got Brogan at the moment sitting at 2 seconds and now having to put out 3.8 watts per kilo, comes pushing back into the group. And Van Heuling, Brogan, Donny and Mendoza, they all want that top prize.
They do, and the 4 of those riders in that lead for the Category 1 race have gone through the banner of the 1 lap to go. So they are in the final lap now of this course.
Indeed they are, and that is going to make a difference. You see our Category 2 leaders coming up towards the line on the right-hand side. So these riders continue to push and around the circuit. This is going to be tough stuff here today. Remember, we've got that passage through the hills, that 10k of climb after climb after climb after climb, and in between, it's not flat. There is some downhill, but that is where some of the other riders are going to be able to put the pressure on those riders who maybe not so good on the uphill sections. A little bit further back, left-hand side of your screen, you can just see Marlena Bjarhed. She's actually sandwiched in no man's land. We've been focusing on the front of the first category race. Behind the front of the first category race, we've got Bjarhed, then we got Fua, then we got Quevedo, then we have the front of category number 2. So Bjarhed at the moment 45 seconds down on that leading group. She's not given up. That is still yo-yoing, but she's going to be working much harder than the leading group, isn't she?
She is. There's no opportunity to draft on your own. And I suppose realistically, when you're in that position as Bjarhed is at the moment, do you sit up and wait now for these 2 riders behind you? So you've got Fur and you've got Quevedo behind. There's 20 seconds in it. To be really honest, if I'm outside the top 5 and I want to finish this race, I'd be sitting up and waiting for those 2 and forming a pack of 3. Then I've got company on the ride in.
Oh, you want somebody to keep you company on the way through. Me, I have to admit, I'm with you there. I think it's a mix though. Sitting up almost implies putting the brakes on. Almost, and for me, I always find it hard if you drop too far off the pace to then pick the pace back up again. There's sort of like a threshold. There's a tick over for me where I'm working well and I can attack and I can move hard from it. Below that, whilst I might be still moving, I'm not got the engine fired up. I've not got the engines ignited and ready. They're just ticking along. And I want that sort of spin. It's a bit like the revs that you get on the bike. So for me, I think I would be continuing to push Bjarhed. I'm just seeing 4.1 watts per kilo. I think she's still got ambitions on pushing up. Remember, Donny in 1, Hewling in 2, Mendoza in 3, Brogan in 4. Bjarhed, if she stays clear, is guaranteed prize money. If she drops back to Fur and Quevedo, it's a 1 in 3 chance of getting any prize money. That is not going to be motivation to drop back. For me, that's a motivation to turn myself inside out, not just for the money, but a top 5 position. Come on, that's got to be what we've got to be looking for. So at the moment we have Brogan in front of Bjarhed in the left hand side of your screen. Brogan in with that leading group. Bjarhed chasing hard behind in that prize money place, waiting to pounce behind. We got Fua and Quevedo, a duo behind, and then we drop back to the right hand side of your screen. This is our category 2 leaders. Ortiz in there, Golden Light in there. We've got Sanchez, Kekkonen, a real mix of riders, all of which could take away that big prize money. Remember, in category 2, it's 8,000 AED for first. It's 1,600 AED for fifth. And that is definitely worth fighting for.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this group and I think people have closed down onto the back of it. So 2, 4, 6. And I think there's a 7th rider in there as well.
Well, that is going to be interesting, isn't it? If there are, because we've got Carmona, Olsen, Kekkonen, we have got Gerioni, we've got Ortiz, we've got Light. That's 6 at least in that group. We're just going to wait and see if we can see anybody else in that mix.
Yeah, I think we've got, where are we on the list on the right hand side? It's really hard to pull those riders out because we're back with the lead group and they're still the 4 riders ticking over together with 20.4k now completed of this 35.9k race course.
So here on MyWhoosh, our leaders clear at the front in the category 1 race. 4 riders clear of a chaser behind. Donny, Van Heulen, Brogan and Mendoza clear of Bjarhed, who's chasing behind Fua and Quevedo, looking to take away that last prize money spot here in qualification. In category 2, right-hand side of your screen, we're coming up for that 20-kilometre mark in this 35.9k race. The leaders in category 2 currently being headed by Ortiz. We've got Golden Light in there, Gerioni, Olsen, Kekkonen and more, all battling for that prize money. Sandwiched in between, well, we have the remnants of that leading group of the first category riders who are distanced by Donny Van Heulen. Mendoza and Brogan managed to get back in the mix, but it was on the hills that the damage was done. We're currently at 20.9k, and that means it's not all that long before we come in towards our big climb once again. Not sure whether Emma's done the maths on this for what number it's going to be. Tell me, Emma, your maths is far better than mine. What distance are we going to hit our next hills at?
Yeah, so they will go into the first category 4 climb on this lap at 22.6k covered. So not too far away now. And then they will roll through the second climb, which isn't categorized, if you remember, at 25.9k. The second category 4 climb will come at 27.4k, and then they have a rolling finish into the flatlands for a finish line at 35.9k.
Well, interesting to see what happens. Now, remember, that number again was at 22.6.
k.
Okay, so 22.6, we're at 21.5k at the moment. There you go on your screen. This is the profile. So remember, this was the numbers for lap number 1. So where it says 4.7, that is going to be 22.6. And that is when we hit the first of our 4th category climbs for lap number 2. As you can see, drop off the far side, a little bit of flatlands, going back up the climbs again, and then that flatter finish. That's going to be interesting to see who's going to take that. Now, right-hand side of your screen, look at our 3rd category riders here. They are so close together, not just in position on the road and time, but also in terms of those power numbers on the right-hand side of the screen. And Emma, I know you're studying those very carefully. 3rd category riders, I mean, it's a real mix, isn't it? For people who are coming out for the very first time, to experienced riders and racers, triathletes, people coming back from illness, people coming back from injury, people who are maybe coming back to the sport after a while.
Yeah, and that's one of the joys of racing on MyWhoosh and the Sunday Race Club, Matt, because it doesn't matter what level of rider you are, there is a race and a category for you. So whilst the categories are decided not just on your FTP, but on your 5-second power, your 10-second power, your 1-minute power, MyWhoosh will work out which category they need to put you in. But on a rough guidelines, our category 3 riders have an FTP of below 2.49 watts per kilo. So something for everybody. Our category 1 riders have an FTP above 3.75 watts per kilo. So we have some really high-end racers, and we have categories for everybody in between.
Indeed, and when we talk about watts per kilo, that is the amount of weight that you carry. In my case, a svelte compared to my previous excessive weight of, let's say, it's currently at 78 kilos, which it is on occasion. So let's do round numbers. It's 80 kilos. Let's say I weigh 80 kilos. If I produce 1 watt per kilo, I'm producing 80 watts. If I'm doing 2 watts per kilo, it's 160. 3 watts per kilo is 240. 6 watts per kilo is going to be 480, and so on. And basically, the more power per kilo you can produce, the faster you're going to go. And when we see Van Heuling on this climb, she's not producing just 5 watts per kilo. She's putting out 6, 7, 8 watts per kilo. And she's sticking this to Donny and Mendoza, who are able to respond. So the leaders are absolutely killing it. They're on this climb. Remember, 22.6 was when they hit it. They are onto this climb, and the climb really is opening up as they make their way up this slope. It is Elizabeth Van Heuling. Look at the numbers, 5.9 watts per kilo. But look at those revs, Emma, 53 revs per minute. That's almost like weightlifting, isn't it?
That's pushing a really big gear. And we can see a different technique coming from Brogan. It's high 70s, early 80s. She's spinning the gear more than Van Heuling was there.
And you can see using legs and lungs. Now, you can stamp a big gear for a certain length of time, but it's a very fast way to accumulate lactic acid in the legs. It's a very fast way to deplete the glycogen stores in your muscles, and it doesn't rely so much on fitness as strength. Now, that's great if you've got tons of strength and you may be feeling that's your strong point today. That phrase of race your strengths and train your weaknesses, well, in my case, it's being strong but incredibly unfit, and that makes the difference. Go on, Em.
I think Brogan is going to come back to this group. She's been really pushing on to catch that 3 in front, and I think she's going to do it. And this group are going to go over the top of this first category 4 climb on lap 2 together, I think, Matt.
Well, she's certainly making ground here. If I was Mendoza, Donny, or Van Heuling, I'd really be trying to make those legs sting. But Brogan will be looking to get back on before they go over, because as the leaders go over the top, watch that speed pick up. We're looking at 13 kilometers an hour at the moment, now picking up to 14. When we go over the top, we're seeing 60, 70, 80 kph. Driving off the top, and this is where Brogan's got to push. If Brogan pushes now, look at that, 7.8 watts per kilo. This kick is going to get her in touch, and when she does get in touch, she's going to try and get straight back in there. Interesting to see. Van Heuling waited. Teammate Van Heuling waited for Brogan and gave her a bit more draft, a little bit extra speed to come in through to the leading riders, and that is teamwork.
That is indeed what teammates are for, making sure you can get on, because once the riders would have gone over the brow of that hill, if she'd not been on that group, the acceleration that they would have gone through with her still coming up the climb and them going down the climb, that gap would have just gone out really fast. So Brogan there really watching the racing going on ahead of her and closing the gap when she needed to.
And I think that's just, for me, that's one of the key things, one of the great things about riding on MyWhoosh and racing in a team. It's not just about the chance of winning a team prize when you come in. It's about working together. And that's, for me, it's almost more interesting than winning solo. That looking after each other, bringing those riders on, looking to try and keep that pace high. If you're in a chasing group, working together. And we're seeing that on the right-hand side of your screen as well here, because the chasing pack of second category riders are closing down on Quevedo and Fua. This is a high position in the race overall. Quevedo and Fua are in 6th and 7th place overall, which means that if they can bring them back, they're going to be knocking on the door of a top 5 position, which is currently held by Bjarhead, who is in no man's land. So we're in with Catherine Fua at the moment. If we can take a look back, I'm not sure whether our camera's going to be able to spin around. I think behind you, you're going to see Quevedo, but you're going to see the chasing riders as well. The leaders, though, it looks to me like they are well up the road. Now, here we go. We're just in with Quevedo here. This is the real battle. We've just seen our leaders go over the top of this climb. We've seen Bjarhead in the distance, but behind the rest of the riders are working hard. Meanwhile, here we go. Bjarhead, she's just made her way up and over the very top of this. What is Fua doing? What's Quevedo going to do? And are they going to get the chasers behind them? Going to be really interesting to watch that. Bjarhead doing a good job here. The Swede chasing Mendoza, chasing Donny, chasing Brogan and Van Heuling, the rider we're in with now. So 25 kilometers of the 35.9 kilometer course covered so far with Elizabeth Van Heuling, Jessica Mendoza, Chiara Donny and Gemma Brogan battling it out for that win. And you can see this next hill is coming. They're at 35.9k in this race until they're at 25.2. This next climb, Emma, what have we got in store?
Yeah, so whilst we can see what looks like a really steep climb ahead of us, this climb isn't categorized, Matt. So this is, it might not be categorized, but it's got an average of 6.3% over 0.8 of a K. So we can see that in front of you. It's the small hill in front of the two larger hills, but it is that there in that middle before the big climb, this really steep climb that averages over 12%. So this is a little leg stretch, and we might see some action, and we might see someone trying to push on here to get an advantage before they go into the really steep category 4 climb coming up ahead of them.
And that climb now that's coming up now, for me, would be my attack point. I would be going on this climb, and I'd be doing it hard now. And Chiara Donny has gone at 6.4, but the rest are responding straight away. But this would be my attack point. Get the gap now. Drop down the far side. No one's going to come back to you on that descent because it's too short. Straight into the next climb and hammer that wedge home if you've opened up any kind of gap. However, I think Brogan is the rider who is going to be maybe just struggling a little here. Van Heuling, Donny, Mendoza, but Brogan's just in shot. Our camera just clips the top of her helmet. Here she comes, left-hand side, bottom left-hand side. She's right in touch here. And I think he repeated digs here because I wouldn't want to leave it till that final run in. You need distance, remember. If you're not going to win this from a sprint, going into that finish, you need a good gap. You cannot have a group behind you. You cannot ride solo against the group behind you. You need to smash the group into pieces. That means you need to do repeated work and break off riders one by one. It's no good breaking away and leaving 3 riders behind who are going to chase you down. You need to drop riders one by one and get some gaps, some decent gaps between each of those riders so they don't come back together and chase you. So this is where riding smart is going to pay off. If any of our leaders can leave ones behind, maybe 2, they're going to be able to be in with a chance of going in that run into the finish. You leave 3 riders behind, 3 against 1. Odds aren't good. We'll see what happens as we come up to the top of this slope. Left-hand side of your screen, our riders, as Emma said, coming up and over. This is the preceding point. This is the climb sandwiched between our two fourth categories. The big climb is about to come up once they've come off the far side. Meanwhile, category 1 is on that section. Category 2 leaders are on the bridge across the lake, and they're about to hit that same point very shortly. We're just going to watch these riders come over the top. Has anybody opened a gap? It looks like they haven't. Brogan is sat at the back. And are we seeing Brogan be smart here and not expending too much energy? You can see that the numbers of what she's producing are in the green. She's saving energy. She's saving the amount of energy she needs to put in. Behind her, you can see lots of other riders doing the same, saving that energy, but they're going to come onto this. This is the penultimate kick. Will they be able to accelerate up? Between our two leading groups, we've got Bjarhead currently behind our race leading foursome. Then it is Fua and Convedo. So Fua is just up the road. Convedo just now into this group, I think, just looking at those numbers.
I was going to say, Matt, I think you've missed a catch there, but I think the catch has been made to Fua and Convedo, and Fua has gone straight onto the front now to try and pull that group along.
Well, it certainly looks like that as we go in through. We're taking a look at the front of the race now. Donny, Mendoza, Van Heuling and Brogan going up on to our big climb. They are currently at 27.1k. This is where things really start to kick off. And we are going to see who has got their climbing legs with them, because this is where the gaps can go at the moment. Who's rolling in behind here? I think that is Donny, who's come through at pace, but I'm not sure she's got an answer. Van Heuling's at 6.2 now, 7 watts per kilo. Who's going to be able to break? Is anyone going to be able to break this group up? Are they going to come in as a group of 4? And at the moment, it's Elizabeth Van Heuling at 167 beats per minute. She's revving slightly higher than she was last time, but this is still a real power exercise. You just saw a gear change there from Van Heuling. She went from 58 revs per minute to about 75, and she's at 13.7% on this slope behind our race leader, Donny, Mendoza and Brogan. This is 3 together, and this is what Van Heuling won't want, because remember, her teammate in this, all of this, and that's Brogan. And in some ways, it's their race to lose now, the two Spartan obstacles riders, Brogan and Van Heuling, because they are the riders who have the numerical advantage. So Donny at 4 seconds, Mendoza at 4 seconds, Brogan at 6 seconds at the moment on our race leader, Elizabeth Van Heuling, here on the Sunday Race Club. The decisive move may well be being made here at the climb, the final big climb, the Category 4 climb, that will take us up and over. It's a run down back into the finish, and it's a fair distance down from that point. The chasers behind have not given up, and our leading Category 2 riders at the moment, again, just feeling the pace, and they have brought back all but the top 5 Category 1 riders, Emma.
They have indeed. So we've got this 4 leading group. We've got Bjarnehead in 5th, and then we've got the group containing the front race of the Category 2 riders. So some really exciting racing coming up over this last 8k in front of us, Matt.
Well, indeed, and that really is telling, isn't it? I know we are about to lap one of our Category 3 riders. I'm going to get a grandstand view of our leader. That is Chiara Donny coming up the hill at the moment. Now, Donny coming up here at 12 kilometers an hour at 53 minutes of racing, 27.7k covered. Behind, you can just see the leaders of Category 2 coming into this climb. They're at 27.2. So we're only 500 meters between these riders. They're going to be able to see each other if they look up the road or look back down the road. But what they won't be able to do, and what is really deceptive, those time gaps are huge between them, and it's just because of the speed our riders have to travel going up these steep sections of hill. When you go up onto the flat, are you going down the downhill? Obviously that distance will increase, but you can see how long this hill is. You can see the damage that's being done by these 13% slopes. So left hand side of your screen, Brogan chasing our three leaders, just about to make contact again. It's Donny, Van Heuling, Mendoza and Brogan at the front of the race. We've got Bjarhead sandwiched between these two screens, almost on the fold in between. You just see the top right-hand screen, just around the curve of the road. Here we go, left-hand screen. As if by magic, I wish I could do that with lottery numbers and make them appear so quick. So Marlon Bjarhead is there in 5th place. She currently can see the leaders. She knows she's being chased behind, but Bjarhead behind her has Fua. She's got Girioni. She's got Sanchez. Lots of our riders who could well get back in touch now. Critical part of this race coming up to the top of this climb as they go over. Donny, Van Heuling and Mendoza have a slight gap to Brogan. And it's that gap to Brogan that is going to be critical, isn't it, Emma? Because Brogan's a big sprinter.
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? I'm watching the race in front. I'm also watching the race behind because I'm trying to work out what the gap now behind with Bjarhead and the riders behind. And I think that's down to about 20 seconds, and it was a minute not long ago. So I really think that group containing the front of the Category 2 race is closing that down. But you're right, Matt. If we go back to the front of the Category 1 race, we're now on the descent off of that Category 4 climb. And at 68 kph, it's a group of 4 back together again.
It is, and it was very smart riding by Brogan there. She didn't panic when the gap went on the steep section. She waited till the gradient eased, and Brogan charged back in. Just seeing a super tuck from Brogan, so easing off the pedals, stopping the pedaling, and just letting the bike do the work there. Tucked in down low at minus 2% gradient. Now she's going to be basically jumping back up to speed. And what she can't afford to do is come out of that too slowly. She will want to be in with Van Heuling, with Donny, or with Mendoza, who is going to take the victory here today. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and it's a really smart tactic from Brogan there because boy, has her heart rate dropped, and has that given her a real great little rest in the middle of this race. Whereas some of the other riders that we've seen, the heart rates are still staying really high. So interesting tactic from Brogan there in terms of giving her a micro rest on this course. So let's see what she can do now as we move into the latter stages of this.
So our riders are on the way towards the finish. Remember, 35.9k in total. We've not hit 30k yet. We're off the top of the hills. Brogan, Mendoza, Van Heuling and Donny are the riders potentially fighting this out. They are in the prize money. Remember, the prize money introduced for our qualifying races as well now. Top 5 riders in each of our categories. Brogan has sliding room to Bjarhead behind. Bjarhead has a little bit of sliding room between her and 6th place in the competition, but it is not very much at all. And I think Marlene Bjarhead has got to be very careful not to get caught from behind. So Bjarhead on the left of your screen, she's just coming up to the crest, and if you look across at the the flashing blue arches, that gap has come down, Emma.
It's come down greatly, Matt. Over the last 5, 6, 7k, she's lost what was nearly a minute's lead, and it's down to about 20 seconds. Now, we've got a number of Category 1 riders in that group behind with the lead of the Category 2 race, and they are going to be looking at this thinking, that's 5th place ahead. That's actually a podium place. That's in the prize money. And actually, we can use this group that we're now in and get this group to chase hard. And it's easier to chase as a group. You've got that draft. You're moving quicker. It's far easier to close the gap being in a group than it is being a lone rider.
And I think that is going to be really telling. And I think that is why we've not seen anybody go clear at the front of the leading group. Great to see Bjarhead getting that super tuck right down low on that Colnago there, just minimising the wind resistance. If only I could get that low in real life. I've got position envy here. That is a great aero position on the bike.
And anybody watching her heart rate can see it dropping dramatically. So that super tuck has enabled Marlene's heart rate to drop from 180 beats to 167 in about 12 seconds.
Wow, that is great. That is a great way to get that recovery. Now, right-hand side of your screen, you're just seeing Brogan just laying off again, just doing some recovery there, I think. And benefiting from the draft. Not quite as much recovery as we saw Bjarhead taking there, but they are the top 5 riders on the course at the moment. So we have Van Heuling, we have Mendoza, we have Donny, and we have Brogan, the 4 riders at the front of this race. Bjarhead currently sits in 5th position. She has a gap, but it is fractional, and I mean fractional, to the riders behind. She cannot afford to relax in any way, shape, or form, because Fua, Quevedo could catch up with her. If they do catch up with her, then that is going to be the 5th place prize of the grass. But don't forget, of course, all these riders riding for positions, all the results up on the MyWhoosh website. So before we get into our final run in to the finish with our leaders at 31.4k, quick reminder, make sure you jump on to Twitter, _whoosh. Make sure you go onto Instagram and Facebook at MyWhoosh. Don't forget, it's mywhoosh.com to download with us onto your PC to download the app. And don't forget, of course, give me a follow. It's Matt Fixer Paying Full Speed Events. And of course, it is Biking Emma. Whilst you're online, check out what we're getting up to in between our Sunday Race Club. You might even see pictures of me on a bike if you're really unlucky on the way through. Not that I can match the speed, because we're going to go back in to the racing. And at the moment, the situation is we have 4 riders just about in the mix here. Donny, Mendoza, Van Heuling, and Brogan. 5th rider in the Category 1 race at Bjarhead, distanced and not going to get back in touch with them. The Category 2 race, wide open. Category 3 race, wide open still. We're going to see what's going to happen as they come in towards this finish, Emma.
Yeah, it's going to be I think we're going to see 2 sprints here, Matt. I think we're going to see a sprint for the Category 1 win, and I think we're going to see a sprint for the Category 2 win, because, there is only 3.9k to go now as we're coming in with this front group, as it ticks over to 32k done, and it's pretty flat now between where they are now and where the finish line is. So I'm not sure we're going to see much attacking or anything from this group. My money's on a sprint finish, a 4-up sprint finish.
Well, so's mine, because at the moment I'm seeing numbers like 2.2 watts per kilo. And 2.2 watts per kilo, let's just remind you, that's kind of getting an ice cream for these riders and having a coffee and putting a gel and maybe having a picnic. They are not pushing on.
But who we are seeing push on, Matt, is Bjarhead here. Bjarhead is pushing on hard, because she really does not want that group behind to catch. But I think it's almost inevitable. That gap is down to less than 10 seconds now. But Bjarhead is trying her hardest to stay out in front of them.
Well, I'm going to be cheering her on. She went with the leaders. That was a brave move. She knows she can attack hard. She's gone clear. She is being chased down. So leaders, left-hand side of your screen. Then your top 4, 5th place, right-hand side of your screen. Our riders in the lead are coming up to the 3k to go point when they hit 32.9. Reminder, it's 35.9k today. Not a standard 35k distance. That's because of the design of the the Tal Murray course. Apologies, just got to get all my letters in all the right order. So Tal Murray course here today. 2 laps for the women, and the pace has come off. They've got well in excess of 2 minutes, nearly 3 minutes back. I think there's no danger of them being caught. Now it's about getting your heart rate down. And we have been talking about getting your heart rate down. Brogan's heart rate, get this, 108 beats per minute. If that is not recovery pace, 102 now, I don't know what is. It's fallen through the floor. And these riders are coming, but you've got to be careful, because different riders prefer to sprint from different speeds. You'll see it on the track. Some people like to be rolling into a sprint at maybe 5 kph, some at 15, some at 20, some at 30 kph, some at 40 kph, and then sprint off the top of that. It depends on what their strength and the pickup and what works best for them. They're going to be trying to maneuver that group to go at that pace. The same, I think, is going to happen for our Category 2 riders. I think it's going to play into the hands of the rest of the riders. But the key thing here is I am seeing 3 jerseys here in yellow, and I am just thinking that we have seen Marlene Bjarhead get caught here. We're just going to take a double check on the way through. We're just going to let this figure stabilize. But I think that we have got Bjarhead and Fua in this group. We have got Quevedo just behind this group, and that means 4 places, pretty secure. 5th place is definitely not. So 4 leaders up the road. We're going to see where they are. They're going to get pretty close to the finish here. There we go, 33.9. So they are now within 2,000 meters of the finish. 2,000 meters. So it's about 3,000 of my strides into the finish there. That is going to be telling now. Donny and Van Heuling starting to get a little bit quicker. Whose nerves are going to fray first? Who is going to be the one who goes for this? Because you're going to be leading this out. Remember, the drafting effect on MyWhoosh is going to be telling here. So the riders are coming in towards the finish, and you can just see as these riders come in, I think it is Brogan who's laid off the back of them. That's a tracked tactic at the moment. So it is going to be really interesting who's going to take this in, who is going to be able to pull that gap down. At the moment, we are just watching the front of this race. So just taking a little bit of a look here. It looks to me like Donny and Mendoza in here. Brogan is in here. And just looking to see where Van Heuling is good. I think she's had a mechanical on the way out here.
Well, don't, because I've been looking for Gemma Brogan at the moment, and Brogan is sat at sub 2 watts per kilo. So either Brogan has blown big style, or she had a problem as well. So this is becoming a really interesting final K as we're moving into the last K of this race. So we've got, just for everybody, we've got Donny, we've got Van Heuling, we've got Mendoza now. So 3 riders in this category 1 race in front of us clear on the screen with 1K to go now in this race. We've got Brogan looking like now 35, 36 seconds back. And then we've got our chasing group behind us. But Brogan here is definitely clear behind this group.
So here we go. We have 3 leaders, Donny, Van Heuling, Mendoza. At the front of the race, Brogan, I think now content with 4th place, may well be. She knew she had nothing left for this sprint. We're just starting to see the pace wind up. Who is going to kick first as they come in? We're at 700 meters to go. Let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, so let's see what's going to happen indeed, because I think Van Heuling is starting to wind this up. I'm seeing numbers around 5 watts per kilo starting to come out. So Van Heuling really wanting to take this out, and Mendoza coming over the top. And this group might not be content to wait.
So just seeing these riders, we're just looking at Donny at the moment. She is currently just continuing to push. Brogan is in a 4th place at the moment. And I think she knows she's not going to make it up to our leaders. Mendoza, Van Heuling and Donny are leading. Emma, take us in on this final 300 meters.
So we've got 200 meters to go, and we've still got Donny, Van Heuling, Mendoza. But Van Heuling is putting out some power now at 12.4 watts per kilo, coming over the top and into the finish. And is it going to be enough to hold it? I think Van Heuling is going to hold it from Donny and Mendoza.
You see the riders coming in and through. So that last kick into the line is a deceptive finish around that corner. Now we're just double checking those positions on the way through. We're going to see who gets that call in what order. We can see Brogan should be able to roll in for what is going to be a 4th place, and we will wait for those results to flick their way in and around. So at the moment, subject to confirmation, it's showing Mendoza and Donny in there. I suspect that will change because Van Heuling looked to have rolled in and through that line, but we're going to get that confirmed. So as we come in, a great race finish there, Emma.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was a really interesting 3 riders clear and a very short sprint at the end in the final 200 metres. And difficult to call them because we're having difficulties in pulling the race results through at the moment. We just Mendoza and Donny showing no Van Heuling there at all at the moment. But we're just seeing on the left-hand side Brogan coming across the line. In 3rd place in the results, or 4th rider over our line today. So let's see where we get to with that. But those 4 riders who were in that front group for most of that race are now across the line in a winning time of 1 hour, 7 minutes and 18 seconds.
Indeed we are, and you can just see that run coming in. The rest are on the way through. So It is going to be a fast run in there. We're at 35.4. It's starting to get wound up here at the moment. This is going to be very interesting as they come through to the finish here. Who is going to take this? I'm not sure if there is a firm favourite in amongst this group, so we will see who is going to take this lead out at the moment. So here we go. We are coming around this turn. Remember, it comes really quickly with 200 meters to go now. We're now seeing the sprint. Remember, this is for prize money in both categories here for the first time in the qualifying races this year. So here we go. Big sprint coming in. I think it is going to be a Fua from Convedo from Bjarhead as they went in and over the line. We're going to get that. We're not actually going to tell you the exact positions because I suspect that we are missing Van Heuling on the way through. So in that run into the line, Fua should have got the last qualifying place. That's actually going to be fifth rather than fourth because we are missing Van Heuling. Then Convedo, then Bjarhead, and then Sanchez taking the win in the second category race from Jarioni, from Atahualpa. And then it's going to be Olsen immediately behind there. Your top four so far in category 2, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see who follows those riders in and through, because at the moment Olsen coming through in 10th place. I think Kokon is going to take what is 11th, but this is still for prize money. I think she's going to be our 5th place category 2 rider.
Yeah, and let's just remember, Matt, that these results will be verified and checked before any prize money is allocated. So these are not verified results, but the verified results will be available on the MyWhoosh.com website.
In day 3, statuses for our results. There's live, which is what you're seeing, which is obviously subject to replays and check-in and verification. We then have the unofficial results when the race ends. And then, of course, we have the verified official results, which come at the end of it. Now, don't forget, you can catch up with all of those results on the MyWhoosh website. That is mywhoosh.com. Emma and I are going to be able to make sure that we're all ready. We're going to be looking at those results and checking them out. Don't forget, catch up with us on social media. It is at Matt Thinks of Pain for me, and for Emma,
at Biking Emma. What an amazing race today, Matt. Fabulous racing.
It was indeed fabulous racing. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can catch up with all the racing when we go live. From Emma, from myself, Matt, and from, of course, all of the team behind the scenes at MyWhoosh. Enjoy yourself, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon. Next time, Shuvkum à la care.